claim the government has resolved all industrial threats as a resolve not to back down from a decision to withdraw all services by the 16th of September that is set to cripple pre-tertiary education.
Over the last 7.5 years, the ministry has resolved all industrial disputes that threaten peace and security in the country.
But it gets to a stage where you must tell yourself that enough is enough. And that is where we've got into. Whatever happens about 16th September, then the duty bearers should have themselves to blame.
We have the latest. And Top Story is always brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies, holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. It is just 3 months to major elections, and government is already bracing itself for another nationwide strike that threatens to cripple education in the pre-tertiary level, while the Employment and Labour Relations Minister, Ignatius Bafwewa, has been boasting today the government has resolved all industrial actions and threats in the last 7 years. The unions, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana are primed to prove the minister wrong over their unpaid Tier 2 arrears and delays in promotion for some of their members. Listen to the General Secretary of NAT, the biggest teacher union, Thomas Musa.
So for 12 good months, we are talking about probably about 600 million Ghana cedis. That is with the government term. The question is, anytime government is coming to pay this particular amount, the 3% penalty that the law provides for, government will not honor it. So what is going to happen is that you make the Ghanaian worker worse off. Oh, our doors are opened. Our doors are opened. Our doors are open, and we are always willing to engage. But please, if we talk about for the sake of the students, what about for the sake of teachers? For the sake of teachers. We are always with the students, and it is always because of the students that we normally have to take time and always have to wait on certain things. And when we go and they tell us, look, wait, and we are getting this thing, and we say, fine, we'll wait for you. But it gets to a stage where you must tell yourself that enough is enough. And that is where we've got into. And what we can do is that we are indicating, and we have, like we've indicated in our press statement, 16th of September should be good time enough for anybody that wants to get anything done for us, for them to get it done. Whatever happens after 16th of September, the duty bearers will have themselves to blame.
Well, the employment minister has today been responding to that, and Ignatius Bafwewa says that in the last 7 years they've resolved all industrial threats, but says, however, that he will work to meet the deadline imposed by the teachers.
Over the last 7.5 years, the ministry, with the support of key stakeholders, has resolved all industrial disputes that threaten peace and security in the country. So for me, yes, we are aware of the issues of threats of strike by university administrators, and then we are also aware of that which was contained in the press conference issued by the 3 teacher unions. I want to assure you that we will engage with them, especially with that of the 3 teacher unions on the issue of arrears of payment of Tier 2 contributions. We have had some kind of agreement with them on a roadmap to the settlement of these arrears. If for any reason any of the parties to the agreement is not living to their obligations, I will make sure that we work hard to get them to do the needful to avoid any possible strike action on that front.
Well, the minister also announced today that government is rolling out what he calls an early warning system to detect industrial threats.
Government has procured over 80 motorbikes, 4 SUVs, and 21 pickup vehicles to enhance labor administration. Through these investments, government will also strengthen the early warning systems to detect and avert industrial disputes and maintain a stable labor environment.
And there have been some payroll cleanup too that the government has been announcing today. My colleague Papania Shale joins me in the studio. We'll be hearing from the three teacher unions on the back of what we just heard there from the Labour and Employment Minister. But additionally, though, there have been some additional work done by the minister and the ministry in terms of payroll issues.
Yes, Evan. So the minister tells us that together with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, they did some level of auditing on the single spine payroll. And it says that in the last time they did it, they have managed to save up to 345 million cedis from the payroll monitoring and the cleanup that ended in 2023. And the monitoring is still ongoing, he tells us. But that meant that they had gone through some universities and some MMDAs where they had done this particular work, and they make sure that these people will not come back on the payroll. But emphatically, he says they've saved 345 million cedis by doing just this alone.
I want to bring in right now Angel Kabonu. He's the president of NAGRAT, is one of the three teacher unions who have served notice of that impending strike on the 16th of September. And Mr. Kabonu, thanks for your time here on Top Story. Listening to the minister today, he says you're aware of your threat. They will engage you. But on the subject of the pensions that you've been complaining about, says, quote, there is a roadmap that he's aware that has been agreed with you. Can you clarify? Is that the case?
Well, he presided over a meeting, I think in June, when we realized that the government is reneged on its responsibility in transferring Tier 2 funds to the various trust schemes. The roadmap was supposed to have ended in August, where we should have zero arrears. As we speak, the arrears is increased. We've gone to 12 months of non-payment of government obligation to the various trust schemes. You see, it looks as if we are toying with ourselves in this country. What it means is that if anyone retires today, the person can collect his or her benefits minus 12 months. And even when the 12 months get matured, he or she may collect that 12 months without the investment component of the money. And this is not money that government, money that I'm requesting from government out of the blues. This is an obligation that government ought to do every month to every public sector worker under his or her under his employment. And I wonder why we can do this to people who have served this nation all these years.
When the minister chaired that committee meeting, what was the assurance?
Well, I stand corrected, but I think that was in May, June, yes.
Because this is not the first time you're threatening. I remember this was a major issue for you.
In fact, this is not the first time. This is about the 18th time when it has become clear that government is not paying its obligation to the various. And when we raise hue and cry, then they will release some 2 months, and then they will go back to sleep. And one of my greatest disappointments is the NPRA. It is the duty of the NPRA to bring government or defaulters to book. But the NPRA is just there like a lame duck always quiet. All that they do is to receive fees and charges, and the job that they have been mandated to do by law, they do not do. I don't know what the NPRA is up to.
Were they in this meeting the last time you had it with the minister?
No, the NPRA, I don't think the NPRA was there. You know, but the question is, you are the regulator, for God's sake. The NPRA is the regulator. And the regulator sits there, and people violate the rules and regulations with careless abandon. And the NPRA does nothing.
The last time you met, what commitments were made, though?
So the commitment that were made was that government was going to pay up, government was going to convert some of the money into bonds. Of course, you know, the sound of bonds in this country is like a sour grape or eating one's bile in one's mouth, because we all know what it is when we talk about government bonds in this country. The government said that they will stop the bleeding. In other words, from the time that we met, government was going to fulfill its obligation to the various trust schemes, and all that they were not doing.
Did you agree to the proposal to pay part of your pensions into bonds?
Well, that was a proposal made by government.
You agreed to that?
We expected government to make good its promise of cutting off the bleeding and show commitment that they were going to pay up and that we were not going to mount the arrears further. Because, of course, converting monies into instruments will need to have further discussions and all that.
This isn't the only reason why you've called this. You've laid this roadmap towards a strike. It also includes the laptops. I thought that was distributed some time back.
Well, let me just move from the laptop issue to other very important issues. Then I'll come back to the laptop.
I mean, why the laptop isn't important?
No, I didn't say it's not important, but there have been very huge distribution going on. We still have about, as of today, when we got the statistics, they were left with about four regions to complete. So by and large, the distribution of the laptop is going on. It's left with about 4 regions to complete. Then they'll have to do a mop-up. So for the issues of the laptop, that's why I wanted to move on to some other
So that largely has been addressed?
Come again.
Largely, that has been addressed, the laptop challenge.
It has not been completed, but a lot of work is being done in that field.
Okay, so you've talked about the pensions, the laptops has been addressed. Which other issues there?
You know, we were on IPPB2. Then they moved us to the Public Services Commission resource platform. When teachers were moved to the Public Services Commission human resource platform, it was bedeviled with a lot of problems. Names dropping, people's ranks going down, allowances dropping and all that. We raised hue and cry. The president directed that the Ghana Education Service was put back to IPPD2. Now they've taken us back to the human resource platform of the Public Services Commission. And now every day we are having problems. We are having people's names dropping off. We are having people's ranks going down. Huge problems. And then also we have a lot of issues to do with grading. That people who have gone for further studies are not being put on the right. But that we met the Ghana Education Service. We indicated to the Ghana Education Service that we are having serious challenges with the current situation that is bedeviled. As you and I speak, the last time car maintenance allowance was paid to the Ghana Education Service was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, car maintenance allowance. So as far as the Ghana Education Service was concerned, car maintenance allowance are not being paid. So does it always have to take an industrial action for people to do what they are supposed to do by law? And you can check from the GES. Call the director for finance, and ask, when was the last time car maintenance allowance was paid to teachers in this country? And he should tell you.
car maintenance allowance, government owes you pensions, laptops still yet to be complete. A lot on the table for you, for the ministry and the government to deal with. The question always is around whether government has the capacity to afford everything you're asking with 3 months with major elections.
Well, these are not new things, Ivan. These are not new things. And I'm sure you have had discussions with me on a number of issues that we have raised in that statement severally. So why does it keep repeating itself? It means that something is wrong somewhere. I mean, look, as a government, you are supposed to pay car maintenance allowance. So if for 3 years you are not paying car maintenance allowance, something should be indicating red, telling you that you are reneging on your responsibility in an area of endeavor. And if for 3 years you continue not to pay, then there is something wrong somewhere, which is not a systemic failure, but a human intentioned failure.
On the pensions, you're owed 12 months, you say. Are you ready to negotiate around how many months government should pay you, or you want all your 12 months?
Well, you see, the moment you go negotiating around how many months government should pay, you are contributing to making a pensioner poorer. That is how complicated the situation is. Because as you and I speak today, someone is retiring. Tomorrow, another person is retiring. Next week, another person will be going on retirement. So it means that day in, day out, when monies are in arrears, you are creating discomfort. You are creating discomfort for somebody.
I see that even before the May 1 Labor Day celebrations, the teachers have come together and asked the government to pay. At that time, you put it at 1 billion CD second-tier pension arrears.
I think that meeting was held before the May Day.
Yes, and you
asked, get the date right.
Yes, you asked the government to pay up before May Day. I assume that did not happen.
It has not happened. You see? And at that time we were talking, government, the arrears was not up to 1 year. But as I talk to you now, it is 12 months.
I mean, if government could not pay 1 billion in April.
But if government could spend 1 billion, why couldn't it pay 1 billion?
I mean, it couldn't pay 1 billion in April. Now it's accumulated even more. Certainly around 1.5 billion now we're talking about. They certainly can pay that too.
Ivan, you see, government intentionally decides not to see the true size of its purse. That is why you have the wanton recruitment of certain political activists, people who we don't know where they come from. That's why you have the bloating of the public service, because government fails to see its true side. We're in this country when we all realize the need to support education. So the government of Ghana introduced Get Fund. We're in this country where we all saw the need to support health. So we introduced the health insurance levy or tax. But at the end of the day, when we have added on, government begin to open up its stomach to absorb. As you and I speak, is the Get Fund not capped? And the percentage goes into the consolidated fund. And I tell you honestly, government is even reneged on its responsibility to pay health insurance to various service providers. So at the end of the day, and then now we introduce Tier 3. We used not to have Tier 3 in this country until President Kufuor helped to introduce Tier 3. That one too, the money comes, you don't even transfer the money to where it is supposed to go. So anytime we, the people of this country, introduce something to enhance an aspect of our society, somebody decides to open up his stomach to absorb it.
The minister says you're ready to engage. Have you received any overtures to sit and talk?
Oh, I don't know. Well, if the minister invites us, we'll go, but I don't know what the minister is going to say differently from what he said the last time. Because the last time, he was giving all the promises, but it has not worked.
So I get you. I hear you say that nothing short of all 12 months arrears paid to you, or
Yeah,
you
but
are
I mean,
withdrawing your.
the man who took, I was about to speak some pigeon. The man who consumed the money should pay us, because you see, we are dealing with the most vulnerable group of people in this country. People who have retired at the age of 60. The only people who can speak for them is the unions that they have contributed to throughout their working lives. At least you and I are working and we are receiving some monthly salary. What about those who are on retirement and are on pension?
It's a nationwide strike by all of you at the same time, and this is coordinated.
Well,
Yourself not on its. Will cripple pre-tertiary education.
Even this issue of the tier 2 is been issued by, this statement has been issued by the teacher union. I will not be surprised if the entirety of organized labor takes it up and make it an organized labor fight. Because as it is affecting education, it is also affecting health, it is also affecting CLOSAC, it is also affecting all public service groups. So once they did not pay education, I can assure you, they've also not paid for health. They've also not paid for civil servants. So I will not be surprised if the entirety of organized labor decides to take this matter up.
And Kabono, thank you very much. He's the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers. Also today, we've been hearing from SSNIT, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, says it is still pursuing options to divest barred and underperforming assets. This is coming just weeks after labor unions, through threats and agitations, forced the trust to abort advanced plans to sell off a 60% stake in some 4 hotels belonging to the trust. Addressing the media, the Minister of Information, the Director General of SSNIT, Kofi Posempemi Osafo-Marfo, says that there is the need for continuous evaluation of assets belonging to SSNIT to inform decision making.
In fact, a previous report said SSNIT will be out of business in 2025. We are still here. One report said that we'll be out of business in 2034. The next one is 2036. That is what the last one said, and appeared to cause a lot of alarm. Let me make these few points. SSNIT has never defaulted on pension payments, and I am very confident that SSNIT will be around long after I am gone. We did show a surplus in 2022. In 2023, the provisional figures indicate that the surplus that we will show will be much larger than the surplus in 2022, which we indicated at the Public Accounts Committee.
You have another one on the divestiture.
On the divestiture, I think the key point is as follows. If you were running a shop, would you always have the same goods in the shop? The answer is no. Likewise, we run a portfolio. At any time, we would change some of the assets we hold. So it should not be a surprise that if we look at our portfolio and there are some assets that are underperforming, we would look to correct that. That is what the sale of a stake in our hotels was about. And all we are looking to do is to improve the performance of the underlying portfolio. And that is really it.
I know the organized labor, they have a significant stake in this, as the SSNIT does the evaluations that the chief executive is talking about before they take any action. The workers part of the considerations currently happening. You know, they have representation on the SSNIT board themselves. I want to bring in the chairman of the Trade Union Congress, is Bernard Owusu, recently elected. Abraham Kumsin is the Secretary General of the Ghana Federation of Labor. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here on Top Story. Mr. Bernard Owusu, congratulations are in order. I heard you recently give it that address when you were elected. Can you hear me, Mr. Owusu? I may have lost him. What about Abraham Kumsing? He's also gone. Hello, Mr. Kumsing, can you hear me?
Hey, man,
oh, great. Fantastic to have you. I mean, you had the chief executive there of SSNIT talking to us about their plans and that if an asset is not performing, you have to look at what to do with it. The Director General was making that point a short while ago. That's a fair point, is it? And that he places it within the broader context of why they wanted to sell off the hotels, and it is something that they are actively still considering in terms of the best options to get SSNIT back to profitability.
But these guys, I don't know what they're up to, because they requested the ILO, the International Labour Organization, to help them assess the performance of SSNIT and advise. ILO just didn't write to them. They made a request that they should help them. So they used their actuarial science department to do some evaluations for them. And that is how come they realize that, look, if SSNIT does not, reorganize itself well, the scheme will collapse. So I heard him say, the predictions were that 2026 or something, the SSNIT will collapse, 2020 something, but still they are in business as of it. ILO did not just on their own just wrote something to them. They asked them to help them. That's the work that they did. And they realized that, look, if SSNIT does not structure themselves, the scheme will collapse. So if you're saying that, we have survived, so why did they attempt to sell that hotels? Why did they do that?
To continue to remain viable, not only as SSNIT, but also the various assets that they have stakes in.
No. They are not making losses. These hotels are not making losses. But even the fact that even the president himself, His Excellency himself, showed interest in it, that's what baffles us. Because why? As the head of state, why? He was so peeved. He was annoyed to the extent that he was blaming the unions for embarking on that. The unnecessary.
Yes.
What is that? Why should the president behave the way he behaved? What interest is he, as the president, have in this whole thing? He should have rather called these SSNIT guys to order, but not to attack the unions. What does he mean by that? It's only in this country that the head of state will behave the way he behaved. I'm telling you. But why? Look, if you go to Aluwex, SSNIT owns about 60% shares in Aluwex. Go and see what is happening there. That company closed down about, I think, 2022 or 2020. Why don't they find an investor to even take over that place?
And you raise an important point. I want to put to Bernard Owusu, who is the newly elected chairman of the Trade Union Congress. Mr. Owusu, thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for having me.
And after you fought and won this fight to stop the sale of the 4 hotels, the big question still remains: if SSNIT is right that the hotels, the majority of them, and performing and bleeding, you need to find a way to stop that bleeding somehow. The fact that you stopped the sale hasn't stopped the bleeding. He's telling us that they're still weighing up the options and they have to make a decision. How involved are you in that process?
The union's position is clear. We've asked them to halt it. The union is engaging SSNIT, and we are talking. So we are even surprised he's coming out to even say that they are going ahead to explore options to sort of get the sales on. But our position is clear.
Yeah, your position is clear, yes, but the solution must be found. And you have what are you proposing? What is the alternative, though?
Well, we are still engaging them, and at the right time, we will come out with a position that we think that it will be suitable for SSNIT. But as of now, we are still engaging them.
I mean, it's been quite a bit of time has elapsed since the sale was terminated, and even before that, you've been fighting this for a while. You have representation on the board. It doesn't sound to me like it's good enough, is it? That you still don't have an alternative for SSNIT to consider?
Well, there are alternatives, but we still have to engage them, and we are engaging them. Once we are done, we'll come out publicly with a position.
At the board level, you have a strong representation. You haven't already channeled your alternatives to the board?
There has been a decision, and the decision of the organized labor is SSNIT have to halt these sales, and we are engaging them to come out with a solution, and that is what the position is as we speak.
In terms of the labor front, though, and because you are the newly elected chairman, we have 3 months to go. Some of your members are complaining. Just a short while ago, we were talking about pension, tier 3 pensions that have not been released yet. 322 unions are talking about this. In fact, Angel Kabunu Nenagrat, president, says organized labor will have to take this matter up because it's not only affecting the teacher unions, it's affecting all workers. What's the position of TUC on this?
Currently, as we speak, we know there are issues concerning what you call arrears of payment of tier 2, the pensions and whatever have you. And as we speak, there is a committee that is in place looking at it. And as a union, we will ensure that SSNIT do the right thing. And we will not allow SSNIT to sort of mismanage the funds as is being done, and I think that we will ensure that the right thing is done respectfully.
Thank you very much. That there is the newly elected chairman of the Trade Union Congress, Bernard Owusu. Earlier, you were listening to Abraham Kumsing. He's the Secretary General of the Ghana Federation of Labour. I want to hear from you on that. 05511 News Night starts right